Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a puppy update. So as you are watching this video, today is Yuna's first birthday. So she turns 1 today. I'm really excited about it. She is here with me. So she has this very cute little birthday shirt. And this will be cute. If she doesn't get any bigger, this will fit her for, a long time. But if it does get bigger, then it's not gonna fit. But I got this from PetSmart. It's like a little, tutu shirt, and it's got a cute little cupcake on it. And yeah, so Yuna turns 1 as you're watching this video. So I thought I would talk to you guys about what it's been like raising a puppy and how our journey has gone. So we got Yuna in July. It's been about 9 months since we got Yuna, and it has been quite the journey. So when we got Yuna, she was about 10 weeks old. And we got her from a breeder, so we did buy her. I don't know, I don't want to get a whole lot of hate for this, but it's like, I don't think it's wrong to purchase a dog as long as you know that it's from a reputable person, a reputable breeder. You know that you're not getting a sour deal like what happened with us and Lucy. We were not, very familiar with purchasing animals because I had never purchased an animal in my life. I've always adopted. All of our cats have been adopted. All of my previous animals had been adopted. The only animals that we bought were Lucy and Yuna. So when we first bought Lucy, obviously we weren't experienced in buying animals, so we didn't know really what to look for or what to expect. So we just, looked for a reasonably priced dog and went with that. With Yuna, she was a little bit more pricey, but we did get confirmation from some people that Micah knew from work who had also purchased dogs from this breeder, and they said that they were a very good breeder and that his dogs are doing fantastic. And so we looked into it. Other people had very positive experiences, so we decided to go forth and get Yuna. All of her background is listed on the website, so her mom and dad are listed on the website that we had looked at, and then they post the puppies that each dog has. So they have a bunch of different dogs that are in rotation for breeding. Her father's name is, I think, Shine, and her mother's name is Nala. Her mother was a Blue Merle mini Australian Shepherd, and her father was a tricolor mini Aussie. So Yuna definitely looks a lot like her father. She is tricolor. She is black and white and tannish, so like a light brown, and she does have a little patch of gray in the center of her chest, but that's just from, like, she has white on her chest, but she also has black mainly everywhere else, and so I think there's a little bit of black fur there, but with so much white it just looks gray. But she is tricolored. Obviously she is a year old now. When we did first get her, she had her rear dew claws still intact. Breeders for some reason don't clip the rear dew claws, and it's not a bad thing to not clip them, but oftentimes they will get snagged on stuff and it just kind of gets in the way. And so when we decided to spay Yuna, which we did do, we had them go ahead and clip those while they had her under anesthesia. So they went ahead and spayed her. I'm gonna move this because it's distracting me, but she was close to 6 months old when we got her spayed. That's usually the general rule when it comes to spaying and neutering animals. Some people do it earlier, some people do it a little too early than I think they should do it, but that's just my opinion. She was spayed around 6 months old. We used to take her to Banfield Pet Hospital, which is like in conjunction with PetSmart, but since we moved, we don't have a good Banfield around us, so we may switch to a different vet. But they do have a really great, program at Banfield. So you pay a certain amount every month, and then that kind of covers, it covered her spay, it covers all of her vet visits. So it kind of saves money ultimately overall. But we'll have to see. We'll have to try to look into a different Banfield or a closer Banfield that we feel comfortable taking her with, or we will just switch to a different vet. When she was a puppy, she ate Pedigree puppy chow, And then when she got to be about, I think about 10 or 11 months old, we decided to switch her to dog food and to get her introduced to that and used to that. So I decided I want to do a raw diet for her eventually, but a raw diet is something that's very expensive, and I also feel bad about doing it for Yuna and not for all the cats. So raw diet is something that is an expensive thing to do, because obviously you have to go out and buy all the meats and the livers and the bones and the organs and everything that is necessary in their diet, because all of that stuff is usually, you know, processed into kibble that you buy at the pet store, but having it in its raw form in a raw diet is a lot healthier and overall better for your animals. And there's like a whole bunch of, you know, articles talking about the benefits of raw diet for your dog or your cat, but I obviously can't afford that kind of reoccurring purchase every however long, you know, my supply would last me. So I decided to look into really good dog food brands. So the brand that I ended up choosing was, I think it's called Nature's Choice or something like that. It's like Nature's something, and it is their original raw kibble food. So it's like a raw diet, but it's in kibble form. So that way you don't have to actually go out and like purchase 5 pounds of chicken and whatever and then like combine it all into like a meal prep. So I ended up doing that, and for some reason she didn't eat the food, and I thought maybe she didn't like it because, well, when we moved house, she was very picky with her food. She used to go eat her food and then she would be good and she'd be done. Now whenever I pour her food, she'll smell her food, she'll maybe take a couple of bites, and then she'll like leave and like walk around. And I thought maybe she didn't like her food. So obviously I spent, you know, all this money, because the raw diet in the kibble form is still more expensive than obviously normal like dog food kibble, but it's less expensive, I think, than like a raw diet, you know. And so I was like, I'm not just gonna not feed her this food. So she would eat it if you supervised her, like if you stood next to her and you encouraged her to eat the food, she would eat it, but she wasn't like super excited about it. So I thought she didn't like the food. So once she started getting low on her raw dog food, what I ended up doing was I went out, I bought new dog food. I bought the Pedigree dog chow because she loved her puppy dog chow from Pedigree, so I thought maybe she would like the dog version of that. So I went out and I bought a big bag of Pedigree dog chow, and we have been on that for about a week or so, and she's still doing the same thing. She's still, you know, not really looking forward to eating, and again, it takes some coaxing to get her to eat all of her food. So I don't know if she's being picky. I don't know if it's because I changed her bowl and we're feeding her out of a different bowl. I don't know what it is, and maybe I'll try to switch back to her old bowl and maybe that will, you know, make her feel better. I don't know. But if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, so when we got her, it was quite the journey. We still had Lucy at the time, but we decided to go pick her up, and we had to drive quite a ways away, about 3 hours away to go get her, and 3 hours back. And we did not get home until very late at night, or very early in the morning, I guess you could say. We got home around midnight, 1 o'clock. Hey, baby. And it was a very long night for us, but she has always been so loving and so affectionate, and she always wants attention, and she loves to lick. I know some people don't like that, but she loves to lick. I don't mind it, you know, as long as she's not like licking my mouth, you know. It doesn't really bother me. She always wants attention. Whenever I'm petting her and I stop petting her, she'll like shove her hand up under, she'll shove her nose under my hand and just like demand attention. She's a very fussy puppy, so she hates the vacuum, she hates the broom, she hates the Swiffer sweeper, anything like that she barks at. She doesn't like it. She loves socks, especially Micah's socks. I don't know why, but whenever Micah's door is open or his bathroom door is open, she will go in there and she will find socks, and she'll just take his socks. And I remember we had finally moved all of our stuff out of the apartment, and we had all of these bags of Micah's clothes downstairs taking up our dining room area, and I was sitting in the living room and I think I was like editing or something, and I hear her like rustling around in the plastic bags, and I was like, Yuna, I was like, what are you doing? And she comes like trotting in. She's got like 3 socks hanging out of her mouth, and I'm like, great. So she loves Micah's socks, and she doesn't really get my socks because I don't really wear socks, but if I do have socks on, or if I do, you know, have socks on and then take them off, if they're in her reach, she'll get it. She loves people food. We don't give her people food that often. She will get table scraps maybe probably once every month. Usually she gets table scraps whenever she goes over to my grandmother's, because my grandma likes to give her table scraps, because my grandma did that with all her dogs. I'm not super picky about it. I do always check to make sure that it's edible for dogs. Like whenever I'm cooking, especially if I'm cooking with like peppers and onions and things like that, I always check to make sure it's edible for dogs, because if it does fall on the floor, I need to know if it's safe for her to eat it or if I need to pick it up. And so I always make sure, you know, that she's gonna be fine. Although when we first got her, within like the first month of us getting her, she decided to eat a nickel and a penny, or a nickel and a penny, and we spent a lot of money to get the nickel and the penny out of her, because the vets were worried that it was going, because she was so small at that point, they were worried that it wouldn't pass and it would get stuck in her stomach, or get stuck in like her intestines, and so they wanted to go ahead and get it out before it caused any issues. So we spent a lot of money very early on, you know, getting her and then keeping her, you know, alive. So she obviously did very fine with that. Nothing really slows her down. After her endoscopy to get the nickel and the penny out, the vet said, you know, she may be a little drowsy, you know, she may be a little bit tired, she may not eat, she may not, you know, poop for a few days. You couldn't even tell that she had had anything done to her, aside from like the little patch of fur that they had to shave off. You couldn't tell. She was so hyper, she was so rambunctious, and she's just always been like that, and she's tearing up her toy right now. But also, after she got spayed, she was kind of groggy the first day, and then the second day she perked up. She was a little sore, but she definitely perked up, and within like a few days she was back to her normal self. So not a lot of things slow her down. She's very rambunctious, she's very mischievous, she's also very sassy. Whenever the cats are either in her way or if she's trying to eat her food and the cats are too close, she always likes to remind them where their space is. So her and Martin, who is our oldest cat, Martin and Yuna have had some scraps. She's not aggressive really towards any of the cats, aside from Martin, and that's only sometimes. Like the other day, Martin was on the table and Yuna, I guess, wanted my attention, but Martin was in the way. And Yuna is fairly cautious of Martin, especially at first. Martin was the only cat that really fought back. So if Yuna would pass Martin or get too close to Martin, he would, like, you know, reach out and swat at her. She didn't like that. And so Martin asserted his dominance very early on when he came in our home, and Yuna didn't like that. So now whenever Martin, you know, swats at Yuna, Yuna barks at him, and she doesn't really like snap at him, but she like tries to go at him. And they never get into like a physical altercation. It's more like Martin trying to swat at Yuna and Yuna dodging and then barking at Martin. It's just loud and obnoxious. But they don't get along very well, but they, you know, coexist relatively fine. As long as they're, you know, not too close to each other, they do just fine. Yuna still loves to bother Crow, who is our youngest cat, and Yuna and Crow, I wouldn't say that they get along, but, you know, it's not like Yuna and Martin. So Yuna and Crow, Yuna wants to be pals with Crow. She wants to play with him, and maybe she thinks he's a chew toy, I'm not really sure. But Crow doesn't like it. Crow doesn't like to be bothered. Crow doesn't like Yuna, you know, chewing on his ear and whatever. So he doesn't, you know, put up with it for, you know, a long time. But he also doesn't really have much of a choice because Yuna is much bigger, and oftentimes she'll just kind of lay on top of Crow. And we usually know when Crow's had enough because he'll like meow or do whatever. So we'll pull Yuna off of Crow, but usually she is pretty gentle with him, especially now that she's gotten a little bit older. Excuse you. She's gotten a little bit more gentler. She's gotten a bit more barky. I'm not really sure why that is. Maybe it's the new house, but I have noticed that as opposed to the apartment where there were bumps and noises happening pretty much all the time, she wouldn't really mind it. But now, anything that makes a bump in the night, anything that makes any noise, she loses her mind over. And one thing that she really started to do was, we have a sunroom that doesn't have any blinds in it yet, so you can see through the window at night. People can see in at night. It's really creepy. I don't like it. Luna often sees either her reflection or my reflection in the window, and she loses her mind and she goes crazy and barks and barks and barks, and I have to like take her out of the room because otherwise she'll just continue to bark. So she does bark a lot at things that, you know, spook her, even though they shouldn't spook her. Even noise that I don't hear that she hears, she'll bark at. She has a very prominent underbite, and whenever she looks up at you, whenever she looks up at you, you can just see the underbite like showing through. It's one of her cutest features, I think, aside from her blue eye. Part of the reason why we chose her is because she did have a blue eye and she has a brown eye, but she was just so cute. You were just so cute. It was funny, when she was a puppy, she was a lot more open to strangers. But now that she's, you know, a big girl and an adult dog, she doesn't much care for strangers. And I guess that's a good thing, but also at the same time, it's like people that we know that she doesn't know, she loses her shit over. And we try to like encourage her to not talk, but like, you know, go up to them and smell them and trust them. But she's very, very cautious when it comes to meeting new people. And I guess, I don't know why that is, because we tried to do a very good job at socializing her when she was very young. We took her out to PetSmart, we took her to the dog park, we took her to the regular park, you know, we took her to meet friends and family, and so we did our best to socialize her as a puppy in hopes that that wouldn't happen as an adult, but, you know, oh well, I guess. So she is very cautious of new people. But again, it also is not a terrible thing, because obviously if there are bad strangers, obviously I want her to be, you know, cautious and to bark and be aggressive or whatever, but not towards people that are not harmful, you know. But it's hard to teach the difference between like a good stranger and a bad stranger to a dog. One thing that I also have noticed is that she's very protective of me and Micah, and maybe that's part of the reason why she barks at strangers. But like, I remember one night me and Micah were like play fighting, and not like, you know, not in a weird way, but we were just, you know, fighting around. I don't know, we were play fighting. That's the best way I can describe it. We were play fighting, not in a weird way, you know, but he was like, I don't even remember what he was doing. I think he was like tickling me, or maybe he had like picked me up or something, and Yuna like, she was like not having it, and so she like went up to Micah and she like barked at him, and she like grabbed his like clothes. I think he was wearing like a jacket, and she like grabbed onto the sleeve of the jacket and started like tugging at him. It was really interesting. And so but it's funny because she doesn't favor one over the other. I mean, she favors me over Micah, because obviously I spend the most time with her, and we are around each other much more than Micah and her are. But when it comes to like being protective, she doesn't favor me over him. It just depends on who's doing what. So we noticed that, you know, if Micah was like being like, you know, aggressive towards me, pretending to like hit me or whatever, and I would like make a reaction, she would like bark at him and like not like attack him aggressively, but she would bark and she would like not bite him hard, but, you know, bite him gently, I guess, and pull on his sleeves and whatever. When I did that to Micah, she would also do the same thing to me. So I would like push his leg, and she would do the same to me. She would, you know, like grab my hand or grab my arm, wolf at me. And she has different barks. She's one of those dogs that does have a playful bark and then like a warning bark. So she would like play bark at me, and she would play bark at Micah. It depended on who was being the aggressor, I guess, in the situation. And so I feel like if there were an intruder in the house, or somebody who was trying to do harm to either one of us, I do feel like although she is cautious of strangers, that she would protect us, which is nice and it's reassuring. Even though she's a small dog, people are afraid of her, which, makes me feel bad because she really isn't a scary dog when you get to know her. And it's funny because with strangers, she has like a weird thing with strangers. If she's in the car, if she's in the house, if she's far enough away from whatever stranger she sees, she'll bark, and she'll bark her head off. If we're at the dog park, and so when people, want to pet her at the dog park, she'll like look at them and she'll like, scooch away, and she's like, no, don't touch me. So she doesn't bark at them when they try to like, touch her or pet her or whatever. If she's in the car and she sees someone through the window, she is barking her head off. So it's really bizarre. And it's funny because and if people startle her also, she'll bark at them. Like the other night I was at John and Debbie's house and we were having dinner, and Yuna was laying on the floor, and I think she was like playing with her toy or whatever, and Debbie comes around the corner and Yuna doesn't know she's there, and then all of a sudden, to Yuna, Debbie's there, and she's like, whoa, and she starts barking. So if people startle her, she'll bark. And one time we were walking at the apartment, I was walking her, and we were walking past the stairs that go up to the other apartments, and this lady was coming down, and Yuna didn't know that she was there, and then all of a sudden this lady was there on the stairs, and she starts barking, and the poor lady's like scared half to death. And so I feel bad sometimes, when Yuna does bark at other people, because I want to be like, she's not a mean dog, and I know that she has like a scary bark and she has a scary growl, but she's really not a mean dog. I mean, I guess you can tell the difference between like a bad person and a good person because she bases her reaction off of our reaction. So if we're not scared and if we're not, being cautious, then she, isn't aggressive. She'll bark and she'll growl, but she's not like going to bite you. And if the lady would have just like, came up and tried to pet her, Yuna would have run away. And so I do think, if she realizes that we're upset about a particular person, that she would be aggressive at that point in time. But, to most people, she's really not. She has obviously grown very significantly since we got her as a puppy. She was about the size of a meatloaf, and now she is pretty large. It's funny when if you watched my last video that went up on Tuesday, there was a picture of her in a little Halloween shirt, and that shirt, there was no way that shirt could fit her again, which is crazy because she doesn't really look different. When she hit about, I would say 3 months old, she really didn't look any different than what she looks like now. She just got bigger. And even as like a little puppy, she didn't look too much different. She just looked like a puppy version of herself. So she's pretty much, stayed the same. She has a little, when she was little, her tail was not obviously as big as it is now. And she doesn't really have a big tail anyway because they docked her tail. But before, it was like this little itty bitty nub, and it was like hardly a tail at all. You could hardly tell it was there. But you could see like her butt, and she has this like brown patch of fur right there on her butt, and it's so funny, and it's so cute though. But now that she's gotten older, she's got a little bit more of a tail. It went from being like a little bitty tail to like a little bit bigger tail, and it's a lot fluffier and it's got more fur on it. She still has that brown patch of fur, but now it's kind of like gone down to like the back of her flanks. But it's still cute. And it's funny when she walks, whenever we get her groomed, I always want them to like trim her flanks because they do get a little crazy, but I can always tell when it's about time to groom her because her claws will get really sharp, her nails, and whenever she walks, the fur on her flanks, she's like hitting the camera, I'm sorry, the fur on her flanks will kind of like swish back and forth when she's walking, so I'm like, well, it's about time to groom you. But yeah, she's a very, very sweet, sweet dog. Whenever people do get to know her, she is always excited to see you. Like John and Debbie, when she got to, remember John and Debbie and recognize John and Debbie. It's been a while since she's seen John and Debbie. It's been about a few months, but when we went back there, I took her with me when I went to dinner with them the other night. And when we went back there, she remembered them, she remembered their smells, she remembered their house, she knew where their door was to go outside and go potty. And whenever she remembers you and recognizes you and sees you, she gets super excited and she like wiggles her butt and she starts to piddle, which is something that I think she's gonna do for a while. But she gets all excited to see you and she jumps on you, and that's one thing that, you know, we kind of need to work on, is not have her jumping on people, because I don't mind it and Micah doesn't mind it, but you know, other people may not want her to jump on them. But she's a dog too, you know, so it is what it is. We're very lenient when it comes to, you know, what she can and can't do. Training her has gone very, very well. So if we wanted to train her not to jump, I'm sure that would go fine. But like, she's allowed on all our furniture, she's allowed on the bed, she sleeps with us every night. There was a point where we left her in her crate at night just so I could get some more sleep, but now she has been a dream when it comes to sleeping in. Before, when she was a puppy, she would get up at 6 a.m. She would start, you know, jumping around the bed, licking your face, getting off the bed, getting into stuff, and so it was like time to get up. Now I can sleep in, I can go to bed at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I can sleep in till 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, she'll be there with me, she'll sleep with me, and it's really, really nice because now I can sleep in and not have to worry about, you know, getting up and taking care of her, because she does really, really well now. And so she'll sleep in just as long as I sleep in, so that's gone really well. But yeah, so she's allowed in all her furniture. We don't really mind, we don't really care, as long as she's not chewing it up or tearing it up. We don't really get on her about it. Sometimes when she was little, and sometimes now she'll do it, but she doesn't do it quite as often, which is digging. So whenever she got super excited or she wanted attention, if she was on the couch, she would start digging at the couch. If she was on the bed, she would start digging up the covers on the bed. And that, you know, was something that we didn't want her to do, obviously, because it would tear up our comforter and she would tear holes in our sheets, and so we obviously didn't want her to do that. And so that was really the only big thing about the furniture that she wasn't allowed to do, but she's gotten much, much better at that. Training her was a breeze. We started very early when I started training her. It was really like, you know, as soon as we could, we started to train her. So she learned early on, she learned sit, she learned stay, she learned lie down, she learned shake, she learned, at the old apartment we used to have a bell on the door, and I would say outside, and she would go to the door and she would ring the bell to let us know that she had to go outside and go potty. So she has done very well as far as training goes. When she started to accumulate some more toys, we started working on cleaning up, so she knows how to get all of her toys, take them to her toy basket, put them in her toy basket, and we call that cleaning up. She does really, really great at that. She's an incredibly smart dog. That's, you know, part of her breed, and just she is really intelligent. We did, if you want to, I'll link the video below, but I'll put a little like info card up here. But we did a whole like testing my dog's intelligence, and she passed that test with flying colors. She did really, really well. She is incredibly smart. She is too smart for her own good, but she really is just, she's very impressive with how smart she is, and I'm really, I don't know, I'm just really happy to have her because she has been such an incredible dog. She's been such a great addition to our family, and she's, you know, been a lot of work. She's been very frustrating at times. She's torn up a lot of things. We've had to replace a lot of things. We've had to spend a lot of money as far as like vet bills and things like that, but I'd say she's worth it. She's a part of our family. I would, you know, do just about anything for her. Speaking of which, as you're watching this video, we are probably having a nice little birthday celebration. I plan on taking her to the dog park on Friday because Michael wants to come with us. And then today, as you're watching this video, we have her birthday shirt that she'll be wearing to take cute little pictures. I'm making cupcakes and popsicles, and we'll have a little birthday candle, and we'll sing happy birthday to her. She's like my child. And so I will just pamper her with love and affection, and I'm so excited that she's now old enough to not be such a pain in the ass, but also she's still got that puppy in her. So she's still, you know, fun, and she's still rambunctious, and she's still got a lot of puppy energy in her, but also she is calmed down a lot, which I'm very, very thankful for. When she was a little puppy, she was just a fireball of energy, and now she has calmed down. She's still very excited, and she gets very excited very easily, but she also does have a lot more calm moments, and they last a lot longer than they used to. So that is everything that I have for this little puppy update. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to leave those in the comments below. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, go down below, subscribe, hit that bell icon to get notified of when I upload videos. I am, again, doing my best to get on a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday schedule. I post at 12 p.m. all 3 days. But yeah, so if you like this video, let me know. If you want me to do some more videos on my cats, let me know. I know I still have to do the testing my cat's intelligence video, but I'm still trying to figure out the logistics for that. But I may do like an update on my 2 cats, Mr. J and Harley, when their birthday comes up, which is I think in June or July. They're getting a cat tree for their birthday. But if you stay tuned till this weekend, on Saturday I will be posting a vlog, as I do most Saturdays, but that will kind of cover what we are doing today. As you're seeing this video, I'll show you our little birthday celebration and what she got for her birthday. I wrapped some presents for her, so we will be opening up those, so that will be exciting. So if you stay tuned till Saturday, you can go ahead and check that out. But yeah, so I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!